inferior vena cava, coming up through the diaphragm. Here are the left pulmonary veins and the left pulmonary artery passing through the pericardium separately. On the right, the pulmonary vessels are harder to see because they lead through a continuous cuff of pericardium that they share with the inferior vena cava. Here are the pulmonary veins. The artery is out of sight, up here. Once we've understood the heart in 3 dimensions, understanding the great vessels that enter and leave it becomes straightforward. The superior and inferior vena cava and the aorta are shown in tape 3 of this atlas. And we'll see more of the pulmonary artery and veins later in this section. Now let's review what we've seen of the heart. Here's the right atrium, the atrial appendage, the superior vena cava, and the inferior vena cava. Here's the interatrial septum, the fossa ovale, the opening for the coronary sinus, and the tricuspid valve. Here's the right ventricle. Here are the papillary muscles and the chordae tendineae and the infundibulum. Here's the pulmonary valve and the pulmonary trunk, branching into the left pulmonary artery and the right pulmonary artery. Here's the left atrium. Here are the pulmonary veins, right and left. Here's the interatrial septum again, and the mitral valve. Here's the left ventricle, the interventricular septum, the left ventricular outflow pathway, the aortic valve, and the aorta. Here's the left coronary artery. Here's the right one. Here's the coronary sinus. Here are the pericardium and pericardial sac. Now, we'll move on to look at the lungs. Before looking at the lungs, it's important to understand the structures that contain them. The thorax, the 2 pleural cavities that lie within it, and the structures that produce respiratory movement are shown in tape 3 of this atlas. Seen from in front, the lungs are here. Seen from behind, they're here. Seen from either side, the lung is here. A large part of each lung lies behind the heart. The lung extends from the ribs in front to the ribs behind, and from the dome of the pleural cavity down to the diaphragm. With each breath in and each breath out, there's an increase and a decrease in the volume of the lungs. Here are the lungs by themselves, seen from in front. They're being inflated with air so as to maintain their shape. Here's the trachea. Here are the 2 principal bronchi. This is the apex of each lung. This is the base. The space between the 2 lungs is occupied by the heart and great blood vessels. Each lung has 3 surfaces. The medial or mediastinal surface is marked by the hilum, where the bronchi and blood vessels enter. The concave inferior surface rests on the diaphragm, and the large convex costal surface faces the rib cage. Each lung is divided by deep fissures into lobes. The right lung has a superior lobe, a middle lobe, and an inferior lobe. The left lung has only a superior and an inferior lobe. Here are the lungs seen from behind. The fissures that separate the lobes extend all the way round onto the mediastinal surfaces. The space between the posterior parts of the lungs is occupied by the vertebral bodies. To see the lungs in